Welcome Sagittarius to your in-depth monthly horoscope for October 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. This month sees two eclipses. The first on the 14th is in a new pairing between Libra and Aries, but this is the first of two solar eclipses in Libra that are going to happen. First this month, this year, but also on the 4th of October next year, again in Libra. For you, Libra is your sector of friendship, how you connect to others, your network. Now, at the moment, because Saturn is applying to your sector of emotions, things have felt very tender around your emotional situation. This influence over the next year and a half is really exciting in terms of how things are going to develop future forwards. Also need to tell you about the second lunar eclipse on the 28th, but Jupiter, your ruler, is dueling with both Mercury and Mars as the month comes to a close. So lots to share with you. Please stay with me for more. I'd just like to share a very exciting opportunity with you. If you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now based on your personal birth data, I'll prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. Plus, in my special 30% off package, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This will give you searing insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far, but give you a much more intimate understanding of how to make the most of these. Please see beneath this video for more. And finally, if you've yet to watch your year 2024 zodiac forecast, please see the link below where you can do so for free. So as you come into October, Sagittarius, the Sun and Mars are in the sector of your situation to do with collaboration, the network, your friendships, your social situation, but also your long-term plan. The 11th house is also about our highest hopes, the ones that go beyond the more physical realm of goals and ambitions. But also Venus, the planet of relating, which has been in your sister fire sign since the 5th of June, is in a great link with Mars. If you're heading off on a journey with a group of people, whether it is an outing or a holiday, or you're actually on holiday, there could be some really lively and uplifting encounters. So really exciting energy. Now, Black Moon Lilith is the influence that's very much to do with our attraction to perhaps the forbidden fruits, particularly around relationships. But it's actually been in your 9th house for the last 9 months. So what you've probably been yearning for during that time is to break out and encounter people that have a bit of drama or excitement about them. But on the 3rd, Black Moon Lilith shifts into the sign of Virgo for the next 9 months. It's possible, therefore, that you could find yourself thinking more about someone you encounter through your work. If you're single, it could even be someone who is in quite a senior position, and their aura of power could be what the turn-on turns out to be. But at the start of this month, from the 3rd through to the 12th, Mars does clash with Pluto. Pluto, since the 11th of June, has been back in your sector of everyday money. If you have been going through a bit of a battle around resources since then, it wouldn't be a complete surprise. But Pluto going direct is definitely something you can really appreciate, and that happens on the 11th. But that square with Mars suggests that if you are thinking of investing any money, Mars in the 11th house, your longer term plan, it's important that you're not too impetuous. When Mars and Pluto get together, our desire to get what we want is absolutely amped up to max. But sometimes that can create a push towards something that might not necessarily be good for us. So there could be a touch of drama around that interaction. Is there for example, someone in your friendship group that you're finding rather alluring, and you could be pulled towards getting more intimate with them? Mars and Pluto very much about sex. Alternatively, it's possible that you could become more aware as this month goes on that your values are not aligning with a group of people that you've got on with in the past, or perhaps one particular friend. And there's going to be a series of influences that I will lay out for you to explain why this could happen. And it may be that you are going to start to diverge in some way. And the latter part of this month could see you just withdrawing a little bit to reflect on who you can really trust and rely upon. But on the 5th, Mercury joins up with the Sun, and at this stage Mars, in your sector of friendship. Now, Mercury's been going through an extremely long transit, 10 weeks, through your 10th house of work and interaction with the wider world. If you have done some retraining or reset your position around your employment during that time, or you've encountered some frustrations, it wouldn't be a surprise. But Mercury moving into the sign of Libra helps you to use the balance of Libra and the fairness and the communicational skills and the relating skills in a very positive way at this point of the month. Now, into the sign of Virgo, replacing Mercury on the 9th, is Venus, which has had that long journey in the sign of Leo since the 5th of June, including the retrograde. But it immediately comes into opposition with the strict, rather restrictive energies of Saturn. Venus moving into your 10th house suggests that charm could be very important, and your connections in terms of your professional hopes. But with Saturn in a direct opposition, it's possible that something around your home or emotional life may inhibit an aim or hope you have in terms of the big picture, your goals and ambitions. It also suggests that even if you do turn on the charm, it could actually be met or greeted with a real coolness by someone that you try to cultivate. So just be conscious of that. There could also be a property matter that needs sorting out at this juncture in the month, particularly on the 10th, when these two become exact. But also, Venus opposed by Saturn can bring a cold wind to relationships that are ongoing. So this could be around your friendship group, as I mentioned before, or maybe around a personal involvement. But on the 12th, Mars powers into your 12th house. Now, this is quite a complex transit. Mars is very much to do with drive, passion, desire, action, impatience, our ego. It can also be to do with taking a more masculine stance to situations. But Mars can also be quite reactive, and the 12th house is very psychological. What can happen with Mars transition through the 12th house is that it can have a tendency to rake up things from our past that we thought we'd come to terms with. One of the key things about being a Sagittarius is your innate enthusiasm and positivity that comes from your ruler Jupiter. That's always pushing you to overcome setbacks and get stuck in again and be very dynamic. But sometimes, as I've mentioned to you before, this can mean that Sagittarius people pick up bits and pieces of unprocessed emotional energies that then build up to something that's more substantive. And that could be something that's revealed for you over the next 6 weeks or more. Remember also that Saturn, the planet of limitation, is in your sector of emotion. The 12th house is much more to do with the psychology that we don't always find easy to grapple with. Sometimes it can be our shadow side, where we don't see parts of our nature, and someone could let you know in a very direct way how they might find parts of your nature challenging. But I feel that generally what will happen with Mars going through the 12th house is that your emotions can just be very up and down, sometimes quite tearful, and at other times quite angry. So it just depends on how much stuff from the past may still need working through, even if you've done a lot of work already. It's amazing how emotions can be rooted in our bodies and almost into the cells of our very being. Now, I think it's called Gestalt, and I really believe in that. I really believe we hold emotions in our bodies. So just be open to looking at those outstanding issues. But the 14th sees the solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. Now, the period of influence is for the next 6 months. We're then going to have on the 8th of April the other solar eclipse mirroring this one in the sign of Aries, which is your sister fire sign, house 5. Absolutely tremendous for your love life and your creativity and showcasing your talents in the following 6 months from then. But over the next 6 months, what this is asking you to do is to up your interaction with others. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because Mars is just pitched into a very psychological part of your situation. I'll explain more as the month goes on, but initially what you're seeing here is to try to reach into your highest hopes, but it does quincunx with Uranus in your sector of work, obligations and responsibilities. If your long-term plan is revealing that a job you have at the moment or a set of responsibilities are oppressive, because Uranus likes to be free, you may need to alter that long-term plan. And the solar eclipse will help you to do that. And it does give you a terrific platform. But it's also saying to you, I feel that there could be some changes going on in the type of people that you link with or the groups that you're affiliated to. So some changes around friendships are entirely possible, or those long-term hopes. Now, from the 19th to the 21st, Mercury is going into a right angle with Pluto. So this is a repeat of what Mars went through from the 3rd through to the 12th. Mercury is about our thinking and our ideas. Pluto here can see you very passionate about expressing your point of view. But again, you may be becoming more conscious that someone sees things differently. But at the heart of this influence is a gorgeous cazimi, a Mercury cazimi with the Sun. It's a superior conjunction. The Sun's on the other side. Sorry, Mercury is on the other side of the Sun. And this sparkly influence is really asking you to use your quick wits to move in a very fluid way towards the hopes that are becoming more defined for you, but it may mean leaving behind some of the foundations that have served you well in the past. Pluto. And then on the 22nd, Mercury joins with Mars in the sign of Scorpio. Mercury here, the 12th house, can see us wanting to detach a little bit from others. It's not something that's particularly obvious. It can be very subtle. You just may have less of a desire to pick up the phone and be in touch. Or it's possible that you may feel that other people don't want to be in touch with you, but they may feel that you don't want to be in touch with them. So the whole thing creates separation. And what Mercury in the 12th house can also do is activate some anxieties or vulnerabilities or insecurities. So just be aware of that. But then the Sun is squaring up with Pluto, just like Mars and Mercury did. Now the Sun square Pluto is one of the probably most powerful influences in astrology. Remember the eclipse, then the Sun now are really pushing you to think about your longer term. But as I said just now, it may mean that you need to separate yourself from something that has given you some level of security or stability. Now, because you're a very daring sign ordinarily, this may seem that it's the type of situation that you'd relish. What's changed? Well, I would speculate it's ever since Neptune entered the 4th solar house of your situation in 2012. And then, of course, in March this year, Saturn joined up with Neptune in house 4, very much about your home, emotion and security. And that started to see some big changes going on. You may have got spliced, you may have settled down, you may have had a child, you may have become not disinclined to do the adventurous and independent things you did in the past, but maybe within the mix, you need to feel in an environment you feel comfortable in, with people you feel safe with. You need to be around people who are more nurturing, but you can still be very, very pioneering, very galvanizing, but it just has to be in the right context. So I feel that what the Sun's doing here, essentially, is again challenging some of the foundations that you may have been building up, and just asking you to check out, are they really what you want, or is there something more exciting you should go for? Now, all of this can give you a lot of food for thought. And I feel that as the sun moves into Scorpio on the 23rd, it actually connects very powerfully with Saturn. So some of the psychological things that you've been learning can make real sense to you, but it also can see you moving away from people who perhaps are a little bit more, I don't mean this unkindly, but a bit more sociable, a bit lighter. They're in a different stage of their life from you. You could find yourself drawn towards situations that have more substance, that you really feel there's roots growing from this. But it also can make you much more sensitive. The sun moving to join with Mercury and Mars in house 12. And again, it can emphasize that desire to be a little more detached, to move into a space of quiet reflection. If you're interested in healing, particularly holistic healing, the last phase of this month would be a wonderful time to have a treatment, to get close to water or nature, to have moments to recharge the psychological, emotional and spiritual dimension of your situation. But what happens in this last phase of the month is that your ruler Jupiter in the 6th house, which is setting you up for taking on responsibilities and supporting people, just as Uranus is saying, look, don't give away your freedom too much. You need to make sure there's a boundary. But that's in an opposition with Mercury and Mars, which, like the Sun, are in house 12. So I think it's possible that you may, particularly in a professional situation, become much more conscious of that issue of trust. So if there are people you're collaborating with that you really don't feel that at ease with, your level of sensitivity can be hyped up quite a lot. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's just making you much more conscious of where you feel essentially secure. Even if it's an unspoken thing, you're going to be drawing in energies around you in a very perceptive way as the month draws to a close. But equally, because Mercury and Mars are going to come into an exact conjunction on the 29th, and we have the lunar eclipse on the 28th, in your sector of physical health, work, organisation, nutrition, diet, exercise, and on the other side of the heavens there's the Sun, Mercury and Mars in house 12. If there is something that's out of balance between your physical world and that spiritual dimension, this is a glorious opportunity to look at that, but particularly over the next 6 months. But what we have to do is blend together the two eclipses, which are representing very different energies. The solar eclipse is obviously about actualizing your potential, because it's a very integrated influence and very dynamic, whereas the lunar eclipse can stir up some insecurities and may be more challenging. So the solar eclipse is about your future, your friendships, your associations, your highest values, the people you can network with in a comfortable way, and the lunar eclipse is the more pragmatic part of your life, that where there may be some obligations that you feel you have to fulfill, and it's a bit of a trade-off between what you really need to feed your soul and what you really need to feed your tummy. So it's all very well, the solar eclipse, it's much more idealistic, but you have to make it work for you with that lunar eclipse in the following 6 months. So there may be some trades to make, but that doesn't mean to say you shouldn't still go for what the solar eclipse sets up for you. Just be aware that if there is anyone fake around you, anyone who's not really got your best interests at heart, you're going to get to know about it by the end of this month. And that's why I feel there could be a big turnover in the people that you're associating with between now and the next year and a half, because the solar eclipse is repeated in the sign of Libra on the 4th of October 2024. So you can see that will take you into the start of 25. So huge changes are coming. And because Uranus has been shaking up your work, your health, your structures, but not necessarily giving you the outcome, I think what this last eclipse at on the 28th of the month across the series of Taurus and Scorpio is doing, is saying there's a bit more work to do behind the scenes to get really sorted, so that then you can move into the solar eclipse of the 8th of April next year, which really gives you a fantastic opportunity to dazzle people with all your brilliance in a very, very dynamic way. So this is a period to set the preparatory conditions and get them all in place for you. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Sagittarius. Please remember to check out your year 2024 deep dive astrology and horoscope forecast, which is a link underneath this video. But for now, stay safe, take care. Please like, comment, share or subscribe.